I want to go to Jerry Seib, the Wall Street Journal, Washington bureau chief. He's also an excellent writer, I might point out, and is able to step back and put things in English. So for that, I appreciate, and his fine mind. Jerry, what happens now? They make this commitment to take up this measure in a few weeks, but just taking it up doesn't mean that both sides can agree what they're taking up, right?
No, but I think what's worth noting here is that this is exactly what a group that Senator Schumer was referring to, a group of 22 senators in the center from both parties got together over the weekend and decided, let's figure out how to solve this below our leaders. Our leaders are paralyzed. Let's take it into our own hands. This is exactly what that group asked for. Reopen the government and then let us have a clean, no-holds-barred, everybody is on an equal footing debate on immigration in the next couple of weeks in the Senate, and we'll settle it that way. And that's what's going to happen now. It's a remarkably common-sense solution if you think about it. There are going to be some people on the left who are not happy, though, Neil, with this, because there's no guarantee that this will happen in the House, and that's the great concern. There was just a general lack of faith in Congress over the weekend that the other guy's word was really going to be honored, and that's going to continue here. But I think the likelihood is that this will work in the Senate. The government will be reopened. I think there is a majority, 60 and more votes in the Senate for some kind of a compromise that solves the Dreamers' problem. The question is that going to be acceptable in the House? Is it going to be acceptable to President Trump? Those are the great unknowns. Who blinked here? I know we tend to trivialize it, or I certainly do in these type of situations, but wasn't this originally what Republicans were offering? Don't attach this to a measure where we're up against the limit here. We shut the government down over this DACA issue. Let's take that up separately, which now they've promised to do. Democrats have signed on. Presumably they will to do. So what happened? Well, look, I think there were two problems over the weekend. The first was the Democrats didn't have faith that President Trump was going to accept this deal, and I think they're still uncertain about that. That's one of the ways this kind of fell apart. The other way this fell apart was that there was a lot of pressure from the Democratic base not to accept this deal, the kind of thing we're talking about right now, not to take as a promise that there'll be a Dreamer solution, but to demand that as the price for keeping the government open. That's now not happening, and as I said, there's going to be some unhappiness on the left with that outcome. But I'm not sure there were many options left for Senator Schumer at this point. As you know, the great question here is how much trust is there, and we're going to find out in the next few days. No, I guess you're right about that. You know, one of the things I think they discovered is that while there was a great deal of bipartisan support for the Dreamers or the children of those who came to this country illegally, and now not just kids anymore, when Americans were polled on the subject of would you shut the government down over it, then the answer was no. Right. So how much of that came into play? Well, look, I think the flip side, and what Democrats are counting on now, is the fact that those same kinds of polls show that about 70%, and that's been a pretty consistent number over a couple of polls I've seen, of Americans think there should be a solution for the Dreamers that gives them legal status going forward. So I think the Democratic calculation here is that the pressure on Republicans comes not from procedural gimmicks or a threat of another shutdown, but more from public opinion that is on the side of having a solution to the Dreamers. By the way, something President Trump has said he's in favor of as well. So while they don't have a guarantee, they think they have public pressure on their side on that point. And now it's a straight-up debate, as those senators we just saw have said, and we'll see if that carries the day. As I said, also, I suspect it will in the Senate. Whether that happens in the House is really going to be the intriguing question. You know, we're looking at the Dow as you're speaking, Jerry, racing the highs of the day. I think all-time highs. The S&P and NASDAQ are already at that. I don't think these kind of things dominate the, traders' thinking. I guess it would if it dragged on a long time. Yeah. Relief when it doesn't look like it will. What do you make of it? Well, look, I think people discount this. You said it a minute ago, this has become almost the historic norm, these kinds of shutdowns or scares of shutdowns. And I think in the short term, the market was going to discount these because it's happened before. I do think there was some underlying risk for Republicans in the White House here, which is that government shutdowns actually cost money. They actually are costly to the government in the short run and maybe in the long run, and they're costly to the economy. That's not something that Republicans wanted or needed at this point, so they had an incentive to get beyond this as well in the sheer economics of the matter. You know, I know Chuck Schumer, in a kind of a threatening tone here, had said to Mitch McConnell,
I assume I'm paraphrasing here, Jerry. I'll hold you to your word that you're going to do this. But all McConnell has agreed, as best I could tell, is that he's going to hold a vote on immigration reform measures, presumably including DACA, and see what happens. That doesn't mean those measures would be instantly popular with either side or provide everything that let's say, Chuck Schumer wants, or for that matter, Mitch McConnell wants. So I guess what I'm asking you is, could we be revisiting this?
Yeah. I mean, sure. But I think the key thing that Senator McConnell agreed to was not only to promise to bring it to a vote, and he said it publicly, so he's now going to be bound by that,
right,
but to leave the debate essentially open.
Well, you don't doubt that
he'll
commit to that,
No,
right?
no, not at all. That's what I'm saying. That will happen.
Gotcha.
But it's also going to be an open debate. There's going to be the ability to basically craft this on the floor of the Senate, which is the way it's supposed to work and used to work. Maybe it will again now. Doesn't guarantee anything, but as I said before, I think the Democrats who want a solution here, including Dick Durbin, believe that there are plenty of Republicans who want that as well, and that's what will win out in the end in the Senate. If it's really a fair process, I suspect they're right.
Jerry, you mentioned the president, his role in all of this, how actively he was involved or not involved. The one thing I get that seems to be a consistent read is his reversal from a promise made a couple of weeks back. Remember that famous Tuesday meeting where he said, you guys come up with something on DACA. I'm really oversimplifying it. And I'll take the heat and I'll sign it because you guys came up with it. Then something happened. Obviously, this talk that he talked to more hardline conservative types who said, no, that would be a disaster. So he changed his mind. Now, it's one thing to get Chuck Schumer mad at you for changing your mind. Quite another for Lindsey Graham and some other Republicans who said that you left them sort of, at the altar. But what of the president's role in this and what he has to do now?
Well, the problem here, and you're right, that was an uncomfortable. That's the part of this that was uncomfortable for Republicans, and it made people uncertain what the president's bottom line is. I think that uncertainty continues now. I think that the key in resolving that is going to be less Dreamers and DACA, because I think a fix is possible on that. But what's the price conservatives in the Senate demand for that, which is to say they want an end to the visa lottery system. They want an end to what they call chain migration, allowing family members to come in following immigrants who arrive here and have legal status. Those are going to be the things that are going to be debated on the Senate floor, where conservatives will try to get some offsets to an agreement on the Dreamers. How tough will that be, and where's the White House bottom line on those questions? Those are the details that are going to be still very tough to work out.
Jerry, we're almost at the point where it looks like, to your point, they're going to make it official that they have got the 60 votes they need on this procedural effort that sort of greases the skids for reopening the government sometime later today. But in so doing, they've raised some questions here about the oddity of this shutdown versus other shutdowns, that normally they're driven by serious differences. Even with Jimmy Carter and fellow Democrats, repeatedly back in the 70s, it was his complaining about excessive military spending. And that soured relations he had with Democrats afterwards. Maybe helped make him a one-termer. But in almost every disagreement, there's been disagreement. Here, there was no real disagreement. They all agreed on doing something about DACA, all agreed on doing something that made sense for these 800,000 or so who are here, all agreed on keeping the government open to avoid that. Yet, this is what happened.
Well, and that's why this was so frustrating to so many people, and I wrote about this today in the Journal to some extent, that there was a deal there to be done. Everybody saw it. Everybody agrees that we want to keep the government open. A majority, both in Congress and in the country, agree we want to fix the Dreamers. Why did it come to this? I think in a way it was a shutdown driven by mistrust, that you may say that we all agree and we're going to get this solved, but I want it in writing. I want it voted on now before anything else happens. And I think it kind of underscores the lack of trust in Washington right now, both between the two houses of Congress, between the two parties in Congress, and between Congress and the White House. And that is, in a way, the mistrust gap that has to be bridged here. And we'll see in the next 3 weeks whether that's been accomplished here or not.
I don't think it has. I don't want to be that jaded. I don't see that changing. And even in the tone and the snarkiness of each side's remarks, it didn't.
Well, there's plenty of room. Let's just say there's plenty of room for skepticism on that front. I agree with you.
All right. Thank you, my friend, very much. Jerry Seib, the Wall Street Journal Washington bureau chief.